Ever wonder if levitation is real? Not in movies, but in real life? Today, we're diving into one of the most astonishing stories from the Vatican archives. A tale that blurs the line between faith and the unexplained. Get ready to meet the woman who supposedly floated in the air during sacred rituals. Her name was Teresa of Avila, a Spanish nun from the 16th century. She wasn't just any nun. She was a mystic, a writer, and a reformer. But what makes her story truly mind-boggling are the hundreds of eyewitness accounts, including those from other nuns and priests, who swore they saw her levitate. Imagine this. Teresa is deep in prayer, her focus absolute. Suddenly, she feels an overwhelming force lifting her off the ground. She described it as a powerful yet gentle rapture that she couldn't resist. According to the reports, she would sometimes float for up to half an hour. She actually found it embarrassing and would often pray for it to stop. Sometimes she'd even ask other nuns to hold her down when she felt an episode coming on. These weren't just a few isolated incidents. Over 230 different witnesses testified to seeing her levitate during the canonization process, the official investigation for sainthood. The Vatican, known for its rigorous and skeptical approach, examined these claims meticulously. They interviewed people, cross-referenced stories, and looked for any possible explanation. Could it be mass hysteria? A clever trick? Skeptics, of course, have their theories. Perhaps it was a form of self-hypnosis, or maybe the witnesses were simply overwhelmed by the religious fervor of the moment. Others suggest that the stories were exaggerated over time, growing from a small, explainable event into a full-blown miracle. Yet the sheer number of consistent, independent testimonies is hard to dismiss entirely. After decades of investigation, the Catholic Church was convinced. They ruled that her levitations were a divine gift, a sign of her profound spiritual connection. In 1622, Teresa of Avila was canonized as a saint. Her case remains one of the most well-documented and debated paranormal events in religious history. So what do you think? Was Saint Teresa truly lifted by a divine power, or is there a more down-to-earth explanation? It's a story that challenges our understanding of reality and shows that sometimes the most incredible tales are found not in fiction, but in the pages of history. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this journey into the unexplained, don't forget to like and subscribe for more fascinating stories. Thanks for watching. Have you ever heard a story so strange, so unbelievable, it makes the hair on your arms stand up? Today, we read diving into one of the most bizarre and chilling tales from the annals of military history. The story of the soldier who seemed to be possessed, and the secrets he screamed from another man's mind. It all began in 1978 at a military base in Germany. Private First Class George Lukens, a completely ordinary soldier, suddenly collapsed during training. When he woke up, he wasn't himself anymore. He started speaking in a different voice, with an accent that was definitely not his own. He claimed his name was Sidney Beck, a tail gunner who had been shot down during a World War II bombing run over Germany. Now, this is where it gets truly wild. The voice coming from Lukens, claiming to be Beck, started recounting incredibly detailed memories of his final mission. He described the specific model of the bomber plane, the names of his crewmates, the exact date of the mission, and the terrifying final moments as the plane went down in flames. He screamed out details only someone who was actually there could possibly know. The military was baffled. They brought in chaplains, psychologists, and even historians to investigate. Was Lukens a brilliant actor pulling off an elaborate hoax? Or was something far more mysterious at play? The details he provided were painstakingly checked against military records. And guess what? They matched. A tail gunner named Sidney Beck did exist. He was part of a crew on a bomber that went down over Germany, exactly as the voice described. Every name, every date, every detail was confirmed. The investigators were stunned. How could a young soldier in 1978 know these classified details from a mission that happened over 30 years earlier. Lukens himself had no prior knowledge of World War II history, and certainly not the specifics of this one tragic flight. He had no access to these records. The events eventually subsided, and Lukens returned to normal with no memory of what had happened. The case of George Lukens remains one of the most compelling and documented cases of its kind. Was it a psychological break? A deeply buried memory? Or was it, as some believe, the desperate, lingering voice of a fallen soldier reaching out from across time to tell his story through a living vessel? The official records are sealed, and the true explanation remains a mystery. What do you think happened on that German base? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more unexplained mysteries. Have you ever heard a story so strange it sends a shiver down your spine? Well, get ready for this one. It says the bizarre case of a teenager who suddenly started speaking with the voice of a long-dead priest. This happened back in the 1970s in a quiet English town. The young man, whose name was Matthew Manning, was just a regular teenager. But one day, something extraordinary began to happen in his family home. Objects would fly across the room, furniture would move on its own, and strange messages would appear scribbled on the walls. His family was terrified, and they had no idea what was causing all this chaos. They called in paranormal investigators, hoping to find an explanation. During one of these investigations, something even stranger occurred. Matthew went into a trance-like state and began to speak, but the voice that came out of his mouth was not his own. It was a deep, authoritative voice that identified itself as Frederick Fletcher, a priest who had died centuries earlier. This voice claimed to be the source of all the paranormal activity. It spoke in an old-fashioned dialect, using words and phrases that a modern teenager like Matthew couldn't possibly know. The investigators were stunned. Was this an elaborate hoax, or were they witnessing something truly supernatural? The entity speaking through Matthew, who called himself Fletcher, would dictate long, complex messages, filling hundreds of pages with writings on religious and philosophical topics. Experts examined the handwriting, and it didn't match Matthew's at all. It was the script of a much older time period. The story became a media sensation. Some believed Matthew was genuinely channeling a spirit from the past, while skeptics argued it was a case of multiple personality disorder or a highly sophisticated prank. Matthew himself was just as confused as everyone else. Over time, he learned to control these abilities, and the phenomena eventually stopped. He went on to become a well-known healer, using his unique experiences to help others. What do you think really happened to Matthew Manning? Was it a ghost, a psychological anomaly, or something else entirely? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more strange stories. Have you heard the incredible story of the art student who made one of the most astonishing discoveries in Vatican history? It all starts with a young woman named Flavia Perugini, a brilliant student at the Vatican School of Paleography. For her graduation thesis, she decided to tackle a daunting task, identifying the thousands of bone fragments stored deep within the Vatican cess secret. Archives, a place known as the Sancta Sanctorum, or the Holy of Holies. For centuries, these relics, collected in ancient wooden boxes and silk bags, were left untouched. They were simply labeled various bones of saints. No one knew who they belonged to, and the task of identifying them was considered impossible. But Flavia wasn't discouraged. She believed these weren't just anonymous fragments. They were the remains of early Christian martyrs who deserved to have their stories told. So, with incredible patience and dedication, Flavia began her work. She spent countless hours in the dusty archives, carefully examining each tiny bone and deciphering the faded, centuries-old inscriptions on the seals and containers. Imagine trying to read handwriting from the Middle Ages on a tiny piece of parchment. It was like being a historical detective, piecing together clues that had been lost for over 1,000 years. She used her knowledge of paleography, the study of ancient writing, to cross-reference the names and symbols with historical records and lists of saints. One by one, she began to solve the puzzles. She identified relics belonging to Saint Praxedes and Saint Potentiana, two Roman sisters who sheltered early Christians. She found bones from Saint Hippolytus and Saint Cassian, martyrs whose stories are cornerstones of Christian history. It was painstaking work, but her passion drove her forward. She wasn't just cataloging bones. She was reconnecting the modern world with the heroes of the ancient faith. Her groundbreaking research was celebrated by the Vatican and the academic world. Flavia's thesis became a landmark study, finally giving names to the anonymous heroes who had been hidden away for so long. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the greatest treasures aren't gold or jewels, but the stories waiting to be rediscovered by someone with enough passion and curiosity to look a little closer. What an amazing legacy for a student's graduation project. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more incredible stories like this one. Have you ever heard the chilling story of the exorcism that took place right beneath St. Peter's Basilica? This isn't just a legend. It's a documented account from one of the Vatican's most respected chief exorcists, Father Gabriele Amorth. The story involves a young Italian woman named Annalise Michel, who, in the early 1980s, began exhibiting terrifying signs of demonic possession. Annalise's family was desperate. They had tried everything, from doctors to psychiatrists, but her condition only worsened. She spoke in languages she'd never learned, showed superhuman strength, and had a violent aversion to all things sacred. As a last resort, they turned to the Vatican for help. Father Amorth, a man who claimed to have performed tens of thousands of exorcisms, took on the case. He described Annalise's possession as one of the most difficult he had ever faced. The exorcism was not a single event, but a grueling, months-long battle. The location chosen was significant: the sacred ground beneath St. Peter's, a place believed to hold immense spiritual power. During the rituals, Annalise would convulse violently. Father Amorth reported that multiple demonic voices would speak through her, mocking him and the rites. They would reveal hidden knowledge and blaspheme in ancient tongues. The struggle was so intense that other priests were needed to physically restrain her. Father Amorth believed he was battling not one, but several powerful demons, including Lucifer himself. The exorcism took place in a secluded chamber deep within the Vatican's foundations, far from the public eye. The air was thick with tension as Father Amorth and his team recited prayers and commanded the entities to leave in the name of God. They used holy water, crucifixes, and relics, engaging in a direct spiritual confrontation. According to Father Amorth's writings, the battle reached a climax after many intense sessions. The demons reportedly screamed in agony before finally being expelled. Annalise was left exhausted but free. She eventually went on to lead a normal life, forever changed by the ordeal she had endured in the hidden depths of the Vatican. This case remains one of the most compelling and terrifying modern accounts of demonic possession and exorcism. It raises profound questions about the nature of good and evil and the unseen spiritual battles that might be happening all around us. What do you think? Was this a genuine case of demonic possession or something else entirely? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more fascinating stories.